Hey everyone, it's Spencer here, and today I want to do a quick video, maybe the start of a series of something about how to power up your commander decks, your EDH decks, and take yourself from that 4 or 5 level to the 6, 7, or the 7 to the 8 to the 9s, you know, and I want to do that by going over a few different things. So today we're talking about your mana base. Your mana base is crucial in Commander. It's often not the sexy bit. The sexy bit is your combos and your interaction and the way that you win the game, your creatures, you know, things like that. But without the mana, you can't do any of that stuff. So I feel like mana is often overlooked quite a lot. And today I'm going to be focusing on a 3-colour deck, mostly because I have an Oloro deck and I've been looking at the mana base bits and bobs. And so it's not just about how many lands to run in your decks. And if you're wondering or you're unsure, 35 to 37 is a safe number of lands to run. Plus, on top of that, you then want to be running your mana artifacts and potentially ramp spells as well as. So don't just think, oh, 37 lands, end of. There is support to that lands that you need to be aware of. So why is mana base important? Well, without it, you can't cast your spells. And most importantly, you can't cast your spells on curve. If your commander is a 5-drop and you want to cast your commander to win the game, maybe it's a key combo piece that you've got, maybe it's Niv Mizzet or something like that, 6 mana, 3 red, 3 blue, yeah? Niv Mizzet Perun. You want to cast that on turn 6 because you've got your Curiosity in hand and you want a combo to win the game, okay? So turn 6, we've got to make sure we've got that 6 mana available, 3 red, 3 blue. The way we do that is by having a solid mana base, okay? If we can use some ramp to get that out earlier, even better, but for the most part I'm talking about casting things on curve. Turn 1 is play 1, turn 2 is play 2, okay? So first things first, like monocoloured stuff, obviously you're going to be running mostly basics, and then after the basics you're going to be running your utility. Depending on what utility lands you run, depends on what type of deck you're building, whether it's a Spellslinger deck, whether it's like Graveyard deck, whether it's blue, red, green, those all go into effect. The best advice I can give you with monocoloured decks is to look at what you're doing. I have a budget Gadwick deck. It has an Isochron Scepter combo in it, but it runs pretty much all basic lands. But once you start getting up to your multicoloured stuff, your dual-coloured commanders or your tricoloured commanders like my Oloro one here, you have to start fine tweaking it and you can't run as many basics. So my Oloro deck at the minute, I've got 7 plains, 12 islands and 6 swamps, for example. You know, I'm running 37 lands in total, plus, I don't know, about 10 or so mana artifacts and a few more unique cards to draw me cards. Unique cards to draw me cards, yeah. So anyway, so lands. You're doing a triple colour deck, whether it's Bant, Naya, Esper, whatever you want to call it. Triomes, you know, these are a must, you know. In New Capenna it was towers, but yeah, triomes. This taps for white, blue or black. Unfortunately they do come in tapped, but they are still good to have. The other thing to remember about Commander and Commander decks is you want to avoid playing tap lands. You don't want to always be playing like Guild Gates, things like that, or the lands that come into tapped and gain you 1 life type thing. You want to be able to draw your 7 cards or draw your card for a turn and it be a land that you can play. If it's a dual-coloured land that you can play, then that's great. Which is why, like, the next one I've got on my list is the Pain Lands. So these are all the ones in Esper colours, the white-black, the white-blue and the blue-black. Yeah, these come in, they tap for 1 generic, or they tap for a blue and a black, or white and blue, or white and black, depending on which one it is, and it'll deal 1 damage to you. 1 damage to get a spell out that you need in order to win the game is no penalty at all. Like, it's not a problem. So, if you're in a tricolour deck, get yourself the Triome, then get yourself some Pain Lands, okay? The reason I say Triome first, oh, we've lost focus. The reason I say Triome first is because it comes in handy later when fetching cards. So, budget things that fetch are things like this. Terramorphic Expanse, Evolving Wilds, we've got Esper Panorama, we've got Obscura Storefront, we've got Fable Passage. these let you sacrifice to go find a basic. Yeah, these ones are basic island swamp and things like that. But so these can't fetch you your Triome, but fetch lands will fetch you your Triome, which is what you're going to eventually work up to. So you're starting out, just these cheap as chips. These are pretty cheap at the minute, they've just been reprinted, and I think the Triomes are just starting to go back up. I think they're around about 9, 10, something like that. Then after that we've got temples. Now I know I said not to play tap lands. Temples are tapped. So they come in tapped, but they allow you to scry one. For me, that utility is just too good to give up. You know, if I can take the turn off to set up my next turn to go off into something, you know, I'm going to do that. If I'm keeping a 2-land opening hand because it's got all my utility or maybe my win cons in and it's got a scry land in, I might keep that 2-lander because I can play that turn 1 scry on my first to see if I'm going to get another land. If it's not a land, I can bin it to get myself through that deck to get that land I need to get to my winning combo. Yeah, temple lands I really like, you know, but there is the better alternatives out there. If you can, get all the shock lands. All of the shock lands that you can play in your deck. So if you're playing a 3-colour deck, you can play 3 shock lands. So these are great. You know, pay 2 life comes in untapped. You know, if you cast in a ramp spell, maybe you're in green, you can, and it says go find a forest. You can go find a forest, and these have the beauty of being both land types of whatever they are. So for instance, this Hollowed Fountain is a plains and an island. So if I cast a spell and it says go find a plains, like Night of the White Orchid, is it? It lets you go and find a plains. This is a plains. This is a plains. You know, these keywords become important. This also affects the next 3 cards, which are your check lands. These come into play tapped unless you control one of those types. So in the case of an Isolated Chapel, it's a plains or a swamp. So if you add your Godless Shrine in, this comes in untapped, because this is a plains and it is a swamp. If you have obviously a basic land plains, it will also come in untapped, you know. But so these are ways of getting your mana out of multiple colours without it being tapped. Lastly, the creme de la creme, well maybe not the creme de la creme, there is a step up from this. These are fetch lands. So these are the ones that you play, you crack them, and then you can go and fetch a land of that type. So for instance, Marshflats lets you fetch a plains or a swamp. Yeah, like I said before, your shock lands, they've got both land types. So they're plains. Your Triomes got all 3 land types, so you can fetch them. So if you play this on turn 1, you can go and get one of every colour that your deck needs. So that you're less likely to be mana screwed. Yeah, so if you draw 3 plains at the top of your library and you've got 1 blue, if you can fetch this, you've got that 1 blue, you know? So yeah, the next step up, I guess, from these is if you're a rich mother, yep, not saying that word, you can get the original dual lands. Those are like Volcanic Island, stuff like that, and they are hella pricey. I don't think they'll ever see a reprint, so if you manage to ever get hold of one of them, congratulations, keep hold of it. Other than that, there's not much to it. Like, I can't emphasise enough really about the importance of mana in your commander deck. The amount of people that overlook it is unreal. I mean, at my play group, people are playing a lot of tap lands still, but then they're playing cards like Ad Nauseam and, you know, Mana Crypt, but then they're playing like a lot of tap lands. It's like, okay, so you've paid for a lot of sexy cards and a lot of fancy cards, but, you know, you need to put money into your mana base for your deck to be able to function properly. And without the mana, like I said at the start, you can't cast those spells, and without casting those spells, you're not playing the game. You don't want to be sat at a table where you're trying to play a few cards or play your commander on curve and you can't get to it. I have a Sir Gwyn deck, Voltron deck, and I need to cast Sir Gwyn on turn 6, because if not, I've probably taken a beating by that point and I'm probably near dead. Yeah? So I need to make sure that my land base is on point, so whatever I draw is going to have the right colour combinations. I need to make sure I've got that red, that white and that black to cast my Sir Gwyn. you know. First few turns on my Sir Gwyn is I'm getting equipment out, so when she does come out I can whack it on and I can start swinging in for lethal straight away. But I've got to have that mana base in order to be able to do that. If I didn't have that mana base, I would not be able to do that, and the whole deck would start to crumble and fall apart. Okay? And the only other lands besides this is utility lands. But like I said at the start, that's all depends on the type of deck you're running. Utility lands are lands that do different things. Like, so in this deck, I have like a Bojuka Bog, Castle Vantress, Cathal Locthwain, you know, like a Ricolor Tower, your Command Tower. I think I have a City of Brass. I'd like to get a Mana Complements, but you know, that's pricey. But yeah, those are all cards that I can draw into that I can use to then accelerate me ahead, or make sure I don't fall behind, I should say, not accelerate me ahead. Castle Vantress is great because obviously it gives you the scry, so you can set yourself up. So if, as a blue player, Castle Vantress I would say goes in most decks, because if you leave up mana to counter a spell and nothing comes up and you've got nothing else to do with it, you've got no draw spell to cast at the end of your opponent's end step before your turn, you can tap your Castle Vantress plus, is it 4 mana or something like that, 2 blue, tap your Vantress and it's like scry 2, so you can set up your next 2 draws. Right, okay, do I need these? No, bin them, cool. You can search that interaction, search that win con. Cards like that really help out in blue. Castle Locthwain is one that you lose life, you can draw a card equal to number, draw a card and lose life for a certain amount, can't remember exactly, somebody will say in the comments. But yeah, that's another good one. Oh yeah, draw a card, lose life from the number of cards in your hand. So it's great to start refilling your hand so you're not top decking. Got there in the end. So yeah, that's about all there is to say. Without telling you specific decks to put specific cards in, is if you're building Naya, look at the shock lands for Naya, look at the check lands for Naya, look at your triomes, you know, put them in, get them in there. Once you've got those in, you know, because if we look at this, we've got a triome, we'll skip these basic ones, we've got 3 of them, 3 of them, 3 of them, 3 of them, 3 of them. Yeah, so that's 3, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16 lands. Yeah? I only need to run another 20 and I'm at 36. Yeah, so you could split that evenly between your basic lands types, or more important thing to do would be to adjust that depending on the colour pips in your deck. That's another point that is actually massive. If you're running a 3-colour deck and you have a lot of cards that are, say, in Esper, then again as an example, you've got 3 white pips for a board wipe, and then you've got 3 black pips for a black, I don't know, Boros Citadel or something like that. You're quite heavily into those 3 different colours, 2 different colours in that example. And then maybe you have like a Blue Sun Sinage, which is 3 blue pips or something, you know, so your deck's pulling heavily into those colours. You need to make sure you have got the right lands in your deck. To work that out, you need to work out the percentage of blue, white and black in your deck, and then go, right, I've got 37 lands, the percentage of each of those colours need to be represented across those lands. So you've got 100 cards in your deck, we'll make it simple, we've got a white-blue deck, 100 cards in your deck, and out of all the cards that have got a casting cost, 50% of them are got white pips, 50% of them have got blue pips, then you know that your mana base needs to be 50% blue and 50% white. Okay? Job done. Simples. And deck never works out that way, which is why I've got like 7 plains, 6 swamps and 12 islands in my Esper deck, because I need a lot more islands, because I've got a lot more blue spells, which is the interaction, the counter spells, draw spells, things like that. But yeah, just really take time with your mana bases, guys. Feel free to have a chat about it, give examples in the comments below. But yeah, do not overlook your mana base. It is the key to powering up your commander decks. And by powering up, I mean make your deck more efficient so you can cast what you need to cast on turn, on curve, so you do not fall behind. Because as soon as you start falling behind in commander, yeah, everyone else starts to get away with the game, and then you're playing catch up, and at that point you can't use your spells to try and slow other people down, because then you're wasting your cards, removing threats rather than developing your own plan. So you just got to pray that the big guys battle it out with each other, and then you can come up from behind. So, but that's a whole nother lesson. Anyway, I'll speak to you all soon. Stay safe out there, and have a good one. Bye-bye.